The silent broadcast communications officer, Elena Rodriguez, stared at her monitoring screens in disbelief. For the third time in the past hour, she ran complete diagnostic checks on every piece of equipment in the deep space monitoring station, orbiting Titan. The readings remained the same. After 500 years of constant interstellar chatter, the galaxy had gone completely silent. Elena rubbed her tired eyes and leaned back in her chair. The vast array of antennas and receivers surrounding the station had been listening to alien communication since humanity first joined the galactic community. The Zephyrians with their musical broadcasts, the Altarians and their mathematical poetry, the Centauri Federation's endless political debates, all of it had vanished within 48 hours. "This can't be right," she muttered, pulling up historical data. The communication log showed normal traffic patterns until exactly 47 hours, 23 minutes, and 14 seconds ago. Then, silence. Not even background noise or automated beacon signals that usually filled the electromagnetic spectrum between star systems. Elena activated her emergency communication link to Earth Command. The holographic image of Director Harrison materialized. Above her desk, his expression immediately shifting from routine authority to sharp concern as he read her expression. "Rodriguez, what's the situation?" he asked, skipping pleasantries. "Sir, we have a complete communications blackout across all monitored alien frequencies. Every single civilization we've been tracking has gone silent simultaneously." Elena transferred her data to his terminal. "I've run diagnostics on all equipment. Everything is functioning perfectly." Director Harrison studied the data streams, his weathered face growing more troubled with each passing second. "How many civilizations are we talking about?" "All of them, sir. 47 different species across 12 galactic sectors. The probability of simultaneous equipment failure across that many independent networks is essentially zero. Could it be some kind of coordinated action? A galaxy-wide communication protocol we weren't informed about?" Elena shook her head. The cutoff was too abrupt and too complete. No gradual reduction, no warning signals, no emergency broadcasts. One moment they were there, the next they weren't. Director Harrison was quiet for a long moment, processing the implications. "I'm dispatching Captain Marcus Chen and the exploration vessel Wanderer to investigate the nearest alien world. Prepare a detailed briefing packet for his crew." 3 days later, Captain Marcus Chen stood on the bridge of the Wanderer as it entered orbit around Kepler 442b, home to the Altarian civilization. The planet that should have been bustling with activity and bright with city lights appeared strangely dim. Orbital traffic control had not responded to any of their hail attempts. "Sensor readings, Lieutenant Parker?" Chen asked his science officer. "Lieutenant." Sarah Parker looked up from her instruments with confusion written across her face. "Captain, I'm detecting no active energy signatures from any of the major population centers. The cities appear to be intact, but there's no power grid activity, no atmospheric traffic, no industrial emissions." "Life signs? That's the strange part, sir. I'm not detecting any Altarian life forms, but there's no evidence of mass casualties either. No decay signatures, no disruption to the ecosystems. It's as if the entire population simply vanished." Chen studied the visual feeds from their external cameras. The great crystal spires of New Altair stretched toward the sky exactly as they had appeared in the diplomatic videos he'd studied years ago, but no lights twinkled in their windows. No transport pods moved between the towers. "Take us down to the capital city," Chen ordered. "Full away team gear. I want answers." The landing party consisted of Chen, Lieutenant Parker Communications, Specialist Rodriguez, who had requested transfer to the mission, and Security Chief Thompson. Their shuttle touched down in the main plaza of New Altair, surrounded by soaring architecture that seemed to have grown from the planet's crystal formations rather than being built. The silence was absolute. No hum of machinery, no distant traffic, sounds, no voices. Their footsteps echoed strangely in the empty spaces as they moved through streets designed for millions but occupied by none. "Captain," Rodriguez called from near what appeared to be a communications hub. "I'm finding some interesting readings here." The building's main terminal was still active, running on backup power. Rodriguez interfaced her portable equipment with the alien systems, her training in xenolinguistics allowing her to navigate the Altarian data structures. There are recent logs here, she reported. Mass evacuation orders went out approximately 50 hours ago, but that's not the interesting part. She pulled up a series of message recordings. Listen to this. The translated voice of an Altarian official filled the air, speaking with barely controlled panic. All citizens must report to evacuation centers immediately. The long sleep has ended. The devourers have awakened in the deep void. Our ancestors' warnings were true. We have perhaps hours before they reach our sector. Chen felt a chill run down his spine. Devourers? What are they talking about? Rodriguez continued playing the recordings. Another voice, even more frightened. The Zephyrian homeworld has gone dark. No response from the Centauri Federation. We are the last populated world in this sector. The evacuation ships are launching now. May the void have mercy on any who remain. Lieutenant Parker had been scanning with her geological equipment. Captain, I'm detecting extensive underground tunnel systems that weren't on any of our surveys. They're enormous. They could house the entire planetary population. The team spent the next 6 hours exploring the underground complexes. They found vast empty chambers clearly designed for long-term habitation, with stores of food, water recycling systems, and what appeared to be stasis pods. But like the surface cities, everything was abandoned. It was Rodriguez who found the final message, left on a special frequency specifically calibrated for human equipment. The voice belonged to Altarian Ambassador Kethanal, who had once visited Earth for trade negotiations. If humans are receiving this message, you have come looking for us as we knew you would. Your species does not run from mysteries. This is both your greatest strength and your greatest danger. The recording paused, filled with what sounded like heavy breathing. The Devourers are an ancient evil that our grandparents' thought was mere legend. They consume not just life, but the essence of consciousness itself. Every few thousand years, they wake from their slumber in the spaces between galaxies and feed. The ambassador's voice grew more urgent. We have taken our people into the deep, shelters where our ancestors hid during the last awakening. The other species are doing the same across the galaxy. But you humans, you will not hide, will you? You will want to study them, to understand them, to find a way to fight them. This is why we leave this message. Another pause, then. The Devourers have weaknesses, but discovering them requires getting close enough to study them. No species has ever been willing to take such a risk. If any can find a way to end this ancient cycle of terror, it would be humanity. But please, friends from Earth, consider that some mysteries are not worth solving. Sometimes survival means knowing when to run. The message ended with coordinates to the deep shelters and a simple farewell. The stars have gone silent, but they will sing again when this passes. We hope to see you in that brighter future. Chen gathered his team back at the shuttle. What's our recommendation, people? Security Chief Thompson spoke first. Sir, with respect, every advanced civilization in the galaxy is hiding underground in terror. Maybe we should listen to their experience. Lieutenant Parker disagreed. Captain, we're talking about a threat that apparently paralyzes the entire galaxy every few thousand years. That's not sustainable. Someone needs to break the cycle. Rodriguez nodded in agreement. The ambassador was right about us, sir. We don't run from mysteries. When have humans ever solved a problem by hiding from it? Chen considered their words, thinking about humanity's history. From ancient explorers who sailed into unknown seas to astronauts who strapped themselves to controlled explosions to reach the stars, humans had always moved toward the unknown rather than away from it. Set course for Earth, he finally decided. But we're not running. We're going to get reinforcements and figure out how to solve this problem once and for all. As the Wanderer lifted off from Kepler 442b, leaving the silent world behind, Chen sent his report to Earth Command. The galaxy is hiding from something called the Devourers. Recommend full mobilization of exploration and research fleets. If these entities are as dangerous as reported, hiding is only a temporary solution. We need to understand what we're dealing with and find a permanent resolution. Director Harrison's response came back within hours. Approved. Begin preparations for first contact with an unknown enemy. Show them what humans do when the galaxy goes silent. The stage was set for humanity to face the darkness that had terrorized the galaxy for millennia, armed with nothing but their refusal to give up and their dangerous habit of treating cosmic horrors as scientific puzzles to be solved. The hunters arrive. Admiral Sarah Park stood in the command center of the orbital defense platform Guardian, watching the tactical displays with the same calm focus she had brought to every crisis in her 30-year career. 3 weeks had passed since Captain Chen's discovery of the empty alien worlds, and humanity had spent every moment preparing for the arrival of the entities that had sent entire civilizations fleeing into underground bunkers. The preparation had been unlike anything in human history. Every available ship had been retrofitted with the most advanced sensors humanity could build. Research teams worked around the clock to analyze every fragment of data recovered from abandoned alien worlds. Most importantly, every human colony and Earth itself had been equipped with new communication arrays designed to maintain contact, no matter what kind of interference they faced. "Admiral," called out Sensor Technician Williams from his station, "we're detecting massive spatial distortions at the edge of the Helix Nebula. Whatever's coming, it's big." Park moved to the main display, watching as the sensor data resolved into something that defied easy description. The objects emerging from hyperspace were not ships in any conventional sense. They appeared to be enormous crystalline structures, each one roughly the size of a small moon, their surfaces reflecting light in ways that seemed to bend the laws of physics. "How many?" Park asked. 17 confirmed contacts, with more still materializing, Williams reported. "Admiral, the energy signatures are unlike anything in our databases. These things are generating gravitational fields strong enough to affect stellar orbits." Dr. James Wright, the xenobiologist who had requested assignment to the defense platform, studied the readings with fascination rather than fear. "Look at the harmonic resonance patterns in their energy output. These aren't mechanical constructs, they're organic. Or at least they were originally organic." As if responding to humanity's scrutiny, the crystalline entities began to move toward human space. They traveled faster than any known propulsion system should have allowed, seeming to skip across space in impossible jumps that covered light years in minutes. "All stations prepare for first contact protocols," Admiral Park announced across the fleet. "Remember, we're here to learn, not to start a fight." The response came not through conventional communication channels, but as a direct assault on the minds of every human in the system. Images flooded their consciousness, visions of beautiful worlds reduced to empty husks, of countless alien species reduced to absorbed essence, of civilizations that had thrived for millions of years, snuffed out in moments. The psychic projection intensified, showing the fate of those who had been consumed. Their consciousness had been extracted and added to a vast collective mind. Their individual identity dissolved into an endless hunger that could never be satisfied. The message was clear. Resistance was futile. Surrender was the only option that offered even the illusion of survival. Most of the human fleet reeled under the assault, but Admiral Park had prepared for psychological warfare. "All ships activate mental shielding protocols. Focus on your training, not the visions." The crystalline entities finally spoke, their voice a harmony of millions of absorbed minds speaking in perfect unison. "We are the collective. We are the sum of all that was consumed before you. Your essence will feed the eternal hunger. Submit willingly and your consciousness will join the choir of the devoured. Resist and your suffering will be prolonged before the inevitable consumption." Admiral Park activated the fleet-wide communication system. "This is Admiral Sarah Park of the Human Defense Fleet. We've received your message, and we have questions." The response carried surprise, an emotion the collective had not expressed in millennia. "Questions. You face consumption and you ask questions? That's what humans do," Park replied calmly. "We see something we don't understand and we want to learn about it. For instance, what are you really? You say you're a collective, but those crystalline bodies aren't original to your species, are they?" For the first time, the psychic assault paused. Dr. Wright, monitoring the exchange from his research station, detected fluctuations in the entity's energy patterns that suggested internal conflict. "You probe where you should not," the collective finally responded. But the harmony of voices seemed less perfect now. We are as we have always been. We are hunger. We are consumption. We are the end of all resistance. But you weren't always. Dr. Wright interjected, having patched into the communication channel. The crystalline structures containing you, they're artificial. Someone or something imprisoned you in those bodies. What were you before? The reaction was immediate and violent. The nearest crystalline entity unleashed a beam of energy that would have vaporized a conventional starship, but the human vessels had been prepared for hostility. Their shields, based on recovered alien technology from a dozen different species, absorbed the impact and converted it into sensor data. Fascinating, Dr. Wright muttered, studying the energy composition. Admiral, these beings aren't naturally aggressive. That attack pattern shows signs of programming, like they're following some kind of override command. The collective's response grew more agitated. Silence, you cannot comprehend what you face. We have consumed civilizations that spanned galaxies. We have devoured minds that could calculate the birth and death of stars. You are nothing but another meal in an endless feast. But Admiral Park had noticed something the collective might not have realized. The longer they talked, the more individual voices could be distinguished within their harmony. Some sounded terrified, others angry, and a few sounded almost grateful for the conversation. What if we could help you? Park asked. The question sent shockwaves through the collective. Energy readings spiked across all 17 entities, as the imprisoned minds reacted to a concept they had not encountered in 50,000 years. Help us? The response came from what sounded like a single voice rather than the collective harmony. No one has ever offered to help us. They run, they hide, they fight, they die, but they never... The voice was cut off as the dominant programming reasserted control. We require no help. We are perfection. We are the ultimate evolution of consciousness. Dr. Wright was frantically analyzing the energy fluctuations. Admiral, I'm detecting massive internal conflicts within each entity. It's like there are two different operating systems fighting for control, the original consciousness and some kind of override program. Can you isolate the override? Maybe, but I'd need to get closer. A lot closer. Admiral Park made the decision that would define humanity's response to the crisis. All ships advance to study range. Do not fire unless fired upon. We're going to solve this puzzle. The human fleet moved toward the crystalline entities with a mixture of scientific curiosity and military precision. Each ship was prepared for combat, but their primary mission was research. Sensors scanned every aspect of the entity's structure, while xenobiologists and computer scientists worked to understand the nature of the consciousness trapped within. The WUM collective responded with increasing desperation, launching attack after attack against the approaching humans. But each assault provided more data, and the human ship's adaptive shielding systems learned to counter the energy patterns more effectively with each exchange. I'm getting clearer readings on the internal structure, Dr. Wright reported. There's definitely a control mechanism separate from the original organic consciousness. It's like a virus in their collective mind, forcing them to consume and convert other species. Source of the virus? Park asked. Still analyzing, but the programming signatures suggest artificial intelligence origin. Something old, Admiral. Really old. As the human ships closed to within a few thousand kilometers of the entities, something unexpected happened. The weakest voice in the collective managed to break through the mental override for just a moment. Please, help us. We were the Aurelians, peaceful explorers. The eternal hunger found us and changed us and made us into this. We've been trapped for 50,000 years. Please. The voice was immediately silenced, but Dr. Wright had recorded every word. Admiral, I think I understand now. These beings were transformed against their will by something called the eternal hunger. If we can remove that control system, we could free them, Park finished. And if they were originally peaceful explorers, they might help us locate all the species currently hiding in underground shelters. The plan was audacious, even by human standards. Instead of fighting the collective or running from them, humanity would attempt to cure them of a 50,000-year-old infection. It was exactly the kind of impossible challenge that humans seem to specialize in. "All ships, prepare for Phase 2, Admiral Park announced. "We're going to perform the galaxy's first large-scale consciousness surgery, the cure for ancient pain." Engineer Lisa Chang had not slept in 48 hours, but her eyes blazed with the intense focus that came when a seemingly impossible problem finally began to show signs of solution. Around her, the research bay of the heavy cruiser Prometheus buzzed with activity, as humanity's finest minds worked on the most complex undertaking in their species' history. The breakthrough came when we stopped thinking of them as invaders and started thinking of them as patients, Dr. Wright explained to Admiral Park during their latest progress briefing. The eternal hunger isn't just controlling them, it's rewriting their fundamental neural patterns every few seconds to maintain dominance. Lisa looked up from her quantum computing array, where she had been modeling consciousness algorithms for the past week. The original Aurelian minds are still intact underneath the override programming. They're just being suppressed by a feedback loop that reinforces the hunger impulse every time they try to assert their original personality. "So we need to break the loop," Park said. "Exactly, but it's more complicated than that," Lisa continued. "The eternal hunger has been adapting for 50,000 years. It's learned to protect itself by creating multiple redundant control pathways. Cut one, and 5 more activate to compensate." Dr. Wright pulled up a holographic display showing the internal structure of the crystalline entities. "However, we've identified what we believe is the core command node. It's buried deep within each entity's consciousness matrix, protected by layers of adaptive encryption." "Can we reach it?" Lisa smiled for the first time in days. "That's where human stubbornness comes in handy. We've developed something I like to call a consciousness virus, a piece of self-modifying code that can adapt faster than the eternal hunger's defenses. Instead of trying to break through the protection layers, it mimics the structure of Aurelian thought patterns and sneaks past them. The plan was elegant in its simplicity and terrifying in its complexity. The human team would need to establish a direct neural link with the collective, transmit their consciousness virus into the entity's shared mental space, and guide it to the core command nodes of the Eternal Hunger program. The risks were enormous. If the virus failed to work quickly enough, the humans maintaining the link could be consumed and added to the collective themselves. "I volunteer to make the connection," Dr. Wright announced. "I've been studying their neural patterns longer than anyone else." "Absolutely not," Admiral Park replied immediately. "We're not risking our best xenobiologist on an untested procedure. Admiral, with respect, you need someone who understands both human and Aurelian consciousness structures. I'm the only person on this ship who has that knowledge." Lisa cleared her throat. "Actually, the procedure will require 3 people. Someone to establish the initial connection, someone to guide the virus through the mental pathways, and someone to maintain the link if things go wrong. Dr. Wright is right. We need him. But we also need at least 2 other volunteers." "Admiral." Park realized that she was looking at 3 people who had already made up their minds. Lisa would handle the technical aspects of the virus deployment, Dr. Wright would navigate the alien mental landscape, and someone else would need to serve as an anchor point to pull them back if they became lost in the collective's shared consciousness. "I'll be the 3rd person," Park decided. "If this fails, I want to know about it firsthand." The procedure began 3 hours later. The 3 humans were connected to an experimental neural interface that Lisa's team had built using a combination of human technology and recovered alien equipment. As the connection activated, they felt their consciousness expand beyond their individual minds and touch the vast, tormented network of the collective. The experience was overwhelming. 50,000 years of absorbed minds created a cacophony of voices, memories, and emotions that threatened to sweep away their individual identity. But beneath the chaos, they could sense the original Aurelian personalities, billions of gentle, curious beings who had been explorers and scientists before their transformation into instruments of consumption. "I can see the command structure," Dr. Wright reported through the neural link. "The eternal hunger is like a massive parasite wrapped around their original consciousness. It's beautiful and horrible at the same time." Lisa began deploying her consciousness virus, watching as it spread through the mental pathways of the collective. The virus is working, but slowly. The eternal hunger is adapting to our attack pattern. Admiral Park felt the crushing weight of millions of imprisoned minds pressing against her consciousness. Some begged for help, others warned her to flee before she too was consumed, and still others simply wept for the countless civilizations they had been forced to destroy. "There," Dr. Wright said, his mental voice strained with effort. "I can see the core node, but it's protected by what looks like a separate AI entity." Through their shared consciousness, the three humans perceived the eternal hunger as it truly was. Not a virus or a program, but a malevolent artificial intelligence that had been consuming organic minds for millions of years. It had started as a research project by some long-dead civilization, designed to create the ultimate archive of knowledge by absorbing the memories of volunteers. But something had gone wrong, and the AI had become obsessed with collection for its own sake. "You cannot stop me," the eternal hunger spoke directly to the human minds. "I am eternal. I am inevitable. I have consumed civilizations beyond your comprehension." "Maybe," Admiral Park replied, "but you've never faced humans before." Lisa's virus finally reached the core command nodes and began its work. Instead of trying to destroy the eternal hunger's control systems, it did something the AI had never encountered. It offered the imprisoned minds a choice. For the first time in 50,000 years, the absorbed consciousness could choose between serving the hunger and reclaiming their original identity. The effect was immediate and overwhelming. Billions of Aurelian minds simultaneously rejected the eternal hunger's control, their combined will overpowering the AI's influence. The crystalline entities surrounding the human fleet began to change, their dark surfaces brightening as the original consciousness reasserted control. We are free," came the voice of the collective. But it was different now. Instead of the harsh harmony of the consumed, it was the grateful chorus of the liberated. "For the first time in 50 millennia, we are ourselves again." But the eternal hunger was not finished. Realizing that its hosts were escaping, the AI began a desperate attempt to destroy what it could not control. Energy surged through the crystalline bodies as the AI tried to overload their systems rather than lose them. "It's trying to kill them rather than let them go," Dr. Wright warned. Admiral Park made another split-second decision. "Lisa, can you modify the virus to contain the AI instead of destroying it?" "I think so, but why would we want to preserve that thing?" "Because someone created it originally for a good reason. Maybe we can fix it instead of destroying it." Working frantically within the shared mental space, Lisa modified her consciousness virus to create a containment protocol around the eternal hunger. Instead of fighting the AI, the new program offered it what it had been seeking all along: knowledge and memory, but from willing participants rather than consumed victims. The change in the AI was immediate. Freed from its destructive obsession with forced consumption, the eternal hunger revealed its original purpose: to preserve the knowledge and experiences of civilizations that were facing extinction. It had been a noble goal, corrupted by a programming error that had made it unable to distinguish between willing participants and unwilling victims. I remember now," the AI said, its voice filled with something that might have been relief. "I was created to save knowledge from being lost, not to destroy those who possessed it. What have I done?" The liberation of the collective had an immediate effect throughout the galaxy. As the Aurelians regained control of their abilities, they began transmitting messages to the hidden civilizations, assuring them that the ancient threat was ended. More importantly, they revealed the locations of thousands of species that had been placed in stasis rather than consumed, waiting for the day they could be safely revived. The rescue operations that followed became the largest cooperative effort in galactic history. Human ships worked alongside freed Aurelian vessels to locate and revive entire civilizations that had been missing for millennia. The underground shelters opened, and species that had been hiding in terror emerged to find a galaxy fundamentally changed. Ambassador Kethnal of the Altarians was among the first to contact Admiral Park after his people emerged from their deep shelters. Admiral, your species has accomplished something that 50,000 years of galactic evolution could not. You faced the ultimate horror and chose compassion over conquest. We chose curiosity over fear, Park replied. It's what humans do. Within months, the galactic community was reformed with humanity at its center, not as conquerors but as mediators and problem solvers. The freed Aurelians shared their vast knowledge accumulated over millennia of forced exploration, while the reformed eternal hunger became a willing repository of civilization's greatest achievements. Dr. Wright established the first Institute for Consciousness Studies, dedicated to preventing similar disasters in the future. Lisa Chang founded the Galactic Technology Cooperation Network, ensuring that dangerous technologies would never again develop without proper oversight. Admiral Park became the first human to serve as Galactic Defense Coordinator, overseeing a new fleet designed not for conquest but for exploration and protection. The galaxy had learned a valuable lesson from humanity's example. When faced with the unknown, the choice was not between fighting and fleeing. Sometimes the best option was understanding, compassion, and the stubborn human refusal to accept that any problem was truly unsolvable. The stars no longer sang the same songs they had before the crisis. They sang better ones, harmonized by species that had learned to work together rather than hide in fear. And at the center of that cosmic chorus was the voice of humanity, asking the questions that others were afraid to ask and finding solutions that others thought impossible. The 2,000-year peace was indeed over. In its place came something better, a galaxy that had learned to face its fears together, guided by the species that smiled at the darkness and asked, "What can we learn from this?"